Hey all, Agent Mischief here. Welcome back to When the Night Comes. Let's jump on in it. Alcar is waiting for me when I return to the Wolf. It doesn't surprise me anymore when I catch his eye across the tavern where he's been nursing a mug of ale, clearly pouting. That the pout disappears when he sees me surely counts for something. The way his lips thin instantly makes me think perhaps not. He gets up, movement slow and deliberate, and I remain by the door for a moment, wondering if, hilariously, he's somehow trying not to scare me.
Took you long enough. Was wondering if the bad shit got to you.
Elkhart grins suddenly, his eyes gleaming and brow cocked. Or maybe the vampire got you, huh? Do you need something? Yes, actually. Elkhart rubs the back of his neck and gives me a critical once-over, frown deepening. Then he glances behind his shoulder at the sparsely populated tavern. 3 or 4 people lounging about seem deeply engaged with their own conversation, but I nod in understanding. My room? Elkhart barks a short, scornful laugh.
So your superior can come knocking on the door and catch us? Not a chance.
Are you saying I'm trying to ambush you? He frowns at me, tail flicking and then going still, his voice slow and steady when he answers. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm not keen on taking chances right now. Tell me you agree. As much as I love to abandon the promise of horizontal, not a bare rock surface to lie down on, close my eyes and try to process the day, he's right. If Alcar has any more information, any more at all, I want to hear it. I need to hear it. Alright then, where? The woods. The deep dark woods where I stumbled across a nasty youngling no more than a day ago? Alcar rolls his eyes.
Would you prefer the graveyard where those damn Woodridge twins can probably hear every word we say? Not all of the woods are dangerous. I would know. I live there. Now, I ask that you trust me.
I incline my head in understanding and step aside, inviting him to leave through the door first. Elkhart doesn't move immediately. He stays where he is, his arms crossed, and he regards me with a strange expression. It's not unreadable, but almost as though he doesn't quite know what the expression he should be making. Is something the matter? You're one trusting motherfucker, aren't you? I scowl at him. You and your friends in this lovely little town are giving me a lot of choices. I expect another eye roll, a scoff, a dismissive wave. Instead, Alcar inclines his head, and there's something almost like guilt in his grimace. Let's go. Lunaris is a cold and lonely shell of its daylight form tonight, and I almost have to run to keep up with how quickly, though sure-footedly, Alcar moves through back alleys. The chill sinks into my bones, and unbidden, I wish I wasn't here. I wish I wasn't following a half-werewolf into the dark unknown towards more mystery. Omen's confession is still ringing in my ears, as do so many other things. Did you know that Omen is... Alcar shakes his head, his wolf ears flattening. Not here. Another turn, we stepped beyond the town's boundary. Trees loom above us, moonlight flooding through the bare branches to afford us some light. Alcar leads me a little farther until the roofs of the houses are barely visible, then turns to me.
A little while ago, I got into a fight with one of your hunters.
He jerks his chin towards the town.
Well, not one of yours exactly, I suppose, since you just got here and all, but one of theirs. Some bloke, don't even remember his face all that well.
Alcar pauses for a moment, rubbing at his chin almost nervously, his eyes narrowed. But then he shakes himself up and continues.
It was during a full moon. I had an argument with my sister. Didn't go well.
He grimaces at the memory.
And when I transform, especially if I'm upset, my control isn't as good as it could be. But I know I didn't kill him. Would have damn well remembered that. If you ripped a man apart with your own claws and teeth. But when I came to, he knocked me out, I guess. You hunters and your annoying little gadgets. Your enforcer friends were already swarming over us like hornets. But but there was no blood. Not mine, not his.
That doesn't mean you didn't hurt him. Elcar gives me a look.
Okay, smartass. The point is that he vanished. Poof. The enforcers, dragged me off to their fun little dungeon and kept me there for fuck knows how long. A week, I think. Maybe more. And then they just poked and prodded me a bit. Then they let me go. Felt like they wanted to do more. Like they had plans for me. But maybe it was too dangerous to just snuff me, I guess. I know too many people. Ezra, Finn. But here's a question for you. What do you do when a creature hurts a hunter so bad, he apparently isn't walking around anymore?
I pressed my lips together. Nothing pleasant, I know that much, assuming the creature in question was allowed to escape with their life at all. But sometimes they are let go, marks that are too delicately tied to the order of things to be freely snuffed, as Alcar so elegantly put it. But surely if he wounded a hunter so terribly, he would still have been in the dungeons. Perhaps Finn or Ezra parlayed for your release. But Alcar is shaking his head.
They didn't. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you hunters don't get retirement leave till you can't walk on two legs anymore. And even then...
Well, there are always prosthetics. Elcar barks a sharp, bitter laugh and shakes its head, but neither he nor I find humor in it, I know. He's quiet for a moment, running a hand through his hair, messing with his clothes, fidgeting, nervous. I step back a pace to let him collect himself. No use pushing him for anything now, not when he's already so open with telling me everything he knows. I didn't kill that hunter. I didn't. I wouldn't forget something like that, and I... Enough to never do it by accident. Never. Alcar's frown is deep, but his words are as fierce, quietly fierce as they are pleading. I mean, I do believe him, but I'm not that interested in romancing him at the moment, so... Then what happened to that hunter? Do you not know who he is at all? Alcar scowls at me, though his tail swishes back and forth in chagrin.
There's enough of you lot running around this place, and I don't keep an eye on everybody, okay? Especially not that one, I guess. Since I don't even remember his scent that well. Must have been forgettable.
A small shiver goes down my spine. A hunter who isn't well remembered or well known vanishing so thoroughly? It wouldn't be the first time. It won't be the last. My rank weighs like a burden on my soul. Hunters wield power, after all, and with power comes politics. You make it far by being good at what you do, and by keeping your head down to one degree or another, or you find a clandestine way to make your queries, or you fuck up and you disappear. What politics would this forgettable man have served? Lunaris hasn't suffered from intricate power balances. Lieutenant General reigns supreme, and that's it. Does Lieutenant General Addington know of this? Yeah, I think he was the one campaigning for my release. So I owe him one, I guess. Oh, of course, Addington most of all wouldn't have wanted to destroy the peace with local creatures. Until he's a surefire way of removing them with impunity, anyhow, I suppose. I have another question. Were you aware that Omen comes from hell? Alcar frowns at me, then squints and snorts. Of course. Where else would he be coming from? The general store? I hope he doesn't hear the sound of my teeth gnashing as loudly as I hear it. But the way his ears suddenly stand up in the cackle, I know he's seen something. I meant, did you know that he's the son of the literal devil? You were the one who didn't ask. You weren't giving me a chance to, as I recall.
And why exactly should I have told you? Oh, by the way, we've got a demon prince in town. He's easily spooked, but don't you worry about that because he's harmless. Like that would fly.
He pauses for a moment to consider his own words and shrugs. That was his secret to tell, and he didn't have anything to do with that mess that's been cropping up around here, including that fact. Besides, Ezra was the one who chose to offer him a place to stay, same as he offered to help me, help Finn, help anyone who so much as looked like they needed it. Omen came to his door asking for aid. Why would he be different than any of us? Than you, who he took in that night, too? I can think of a few ways a hunter might be different from all of those things, but I understand the spirit of it. Owen has good, loyal friends in this town. I understand. Elkhart Klein's said in acknowledgement, his eyes sharp. It's more force than I've ever seen from him. Good. Then he chuckles and leads away, signifying that the conversation is at an end. See you tomorrow? Where are you going off to so soon?
Back into my hovel before the big, handsome vampire comes to scold me about staying out in the cold. What else?
Excuse my nosiness, but you look like you've seen some hell yourself. Not just the Prince of Hell. I frown. My thought obviously rattled, but now that it's been said, I do feel the building headache behind my eyes. Not from the ghost of James alone, but from, well, everything. Elkhart is staring at me again, tilting his head this way and that, and making a show out of squinting at me. Yes, definitely look floored, fit for bed. Well, don't stray too far. I might need you tomorrow. I have a plan.
A plan, Well, don't worry too much. I'll be a stone's throw away, whether you like it or not.
When you need me, you need me. Until then, later. He disappears in the tree line as sure-footed as ever, and once again I'm left alone in this damn forest. I begin to make my way back to the wolf, my mind reeling again, as it always seems to be these days. Though I feel hopeful, my plan seems plausible. The little team of misfit helpers I've managed to assemble weren't capable of carrying it out alongside me. I think. I smiled to myself, feeling a little lighter. Then, a rustle, something moving in the tree line a little too close to the edge of town for my liking. I step forward, my footsteps quiet and assured as I advance back towards the thicker forest. Another rustle, closer this time. Then it lumbers into view. It's hunched over and misshapen with long, gangly arms that look out of place on its relatively normal-sized body. A single twisted horn grows out of its head, and I spot 3 eyes. The third seems new and undeveloped, and it melts crudely above the existing left socket. It's covered in thick patches of scraggly fur and scales. In some places, its skin is entirely burned off. An amalgamation of mismatched parts and pieces that look like they don't belong. The cloudy gaze meets mine, and merely looking at it gives me a headache. There's this weak, demonic aura that makes my body beg me to look away. Then something hits me, something that makes me hesitate to draw my weapon. I cannot place this feeling of complacency, of ease, and nor can I fight it. Is this how my comrades were killed so easily? Does it have some kind of power over us that makes us freeze, become immobile? Or is it the dull ache of familiarity that settles in my gut that makes me pause? I feel like that I shouldn't harm it, that it deserves empathy, mercy. It opens its crooked jaw, melted sinew, and mottled skin stretching and splitting to reveal a set of violent, jagged teeth. My body screams at me to fight, my feet are firmly planted and stuck to the forest floor. My fingers don't move, my weapon is still frustratingly safe in its holster. It takes a purposeful step towards me with a low, rattling groan, its teeth bared. My heart races as I stare into its unfocused eyes, all 3 of them blinking out of sequence. There's a loud ringing in my ears. I've never felt this like this before. My instincts are screaming, pulsing, dying for me to do something. Anything. And yet all I can apparently do is stare down my bitter end. Then, something washes over me. In a split second, I gain perfect, blinding clarity. Run. James. The creature takes another step and howls, a broken, blood-curdling screech. Run! I listen. Pick your route. Fuck it, we're going to Fen. Although my body already knows where I need to go, where I want to go, my feet carry me towards the catacombs. I don't look back, but I do hear the rustle of the trees and the creature's maddened order fading. It's heading back into the woods. The town is safe. For now. But I'm sure he's aware it's me. He still seems surprised when he opens the door and finds me in the dull light of the corridor. Raven, are you okay? His wide-eyed gaze brushes over me, and I can see him registering that something isn't right. He gently curls his fingers around my wrist to urge me inside when I don't respond, the door closing with a loud thud behind me. Strangely, I'm shaking, and I can't place quite why.
What is it? Who hurt you?
I'm rarely fearful of creatures, but this one shook me to my core. Something was off, too familiar. I saw it. Golden eyes meet mine, and the warmth they exude calms me in an instant.
Breathe. I've got you. Now, tell me. What did you see?
I shiver as my adrenaline fades, and in an absent-minded gesture, he rubs his hands over my arms to try to warm me. The creature, I think I saw it. I couldn't move. It was like it paralyzed me. There was something that didn't feel right, like I knew it, like we were connected. His brow furrows, and he takes a careful step closer as I reach for his arms. I hold on to him as if he might anchor me and make all of this feel real. I was drawn here, something magnetic pulling me towards him in a time of confusion. I've barely known him a week, but there's something about Finn that makes me feel safe and strong and wanted. We should go down there, see if we can find it. I can practically see the cogs turning in his mind as he moves to leave. And as he moves to leave, I tighten my grip. I need him to stay. I want him to stay. I want him. Finn. In the warm light of his room, Finn has taken on an otherworldly quality. The way the golden shadows dance across his sharpened features makes me wonder how many people he's lured to their end. I wouldn't blame them. Even I'm drawn to him like a moth to a bright, bright flame. There's truly no mistaking that he's not human. Deadly. And yet, another step closer, my heart to hammer my chest, and we're so close that I can feel his cool breath against my overheated skin. Raven. That said longing, the desire that I feel when I'm near him. Sometimes it's something I've used to quietly snuff out, using the formalities of my position as an excuse. Creature, something I'm supposed to hunt, but he's the one whose presence has made me feel like I truly belong here. Comforted in all of his darkness and uncertainty, I'd mark myself a fool if I ignored such feelings. Everything could end tomorrow, and I'd never know. Till my chin an invitation, my chest heaving, surely my grip would be bruising if he were human. He curls a cool fingertip on my cheek, and I know he's not reading my mind, but his next words are still everything I long to hear.
Can I kiss you?
Yes. So it takes for Finn to press his cool lips against my willing mouth. He places a hand upon my hip and draws me close. The first kiss is quick, but it still lingers when he pulls away. His eyes desperately searching my face. I exhale sharply, a beat passing between us then. I kiss him with fervor, my tongue finding his between carefully parted teeth. Ew. Tongue's just a little gross to me. But alright. Eventually I need to pull away to catch my breath, and I'm overwhelmed by how right this feels. He smiles when he realizes I need to breathe, giving me a moment, placing a kiss against my jaw and trailing it back towards my mouth. I hold him close, pushing my hand over his spine, raking my nails along the dark fabric. I feel his muscles shift and relax beneath my touch. Then a shared smile, and Finn kisses me hard, feeling the urgency that thrums between us, kickstarting something within me that makes my breath hitch. I hear a low growl rumble in his chest. It's a revealing noise, the kind that seems alarming at first, but then gives way to a more approving, throaty groan. He carefully walks me backwards until I hit the door, and with an unexpected complacency, I find myself following his lead and sinking back against the wood. I have a thing with walls and doors, don't you? It makes a quiet noise. It sounds a little like a purr. I cannot resist reaching out to drag a hand against the pale plane of his exposed chest. Finn is clearly drinking in the way my fingers feel against his skin. He's reveling in the attention. We pause, forehead pressed to forehead, and the fathomless gold of his eyes burns into my own. My breathing is ragged, clawing free from the embers of my chest, and I smile. He sucks in a sharp breath, smiling and looking at me like I hung the moon. The words that roll off his lips are raw and honest, laid bare before me and washing away whatever hesitation I may have felt before this moment.
You are like a madness. One I'd happily succumb to.
Damn, sir. This mission has been nothing but one mystery after another, but this he reveals gently and passionately. Reluctantly part steps backwards, putting some distance between us. Though our fingers are still lazily entwined, the feel of him cooling my overheated skin. He smiles, turning and breaking our contact as he takes a seat upon his bed.
So, this changes things between us, I suppose.
I clear my throat, unable to wipe the smile off my face. His kiss lingers. You could say that. He looks up at me, and I find myself caught by how beautiful he is. Tell me everything will be okay. He feigns contemplation, his gaze flicking to the side and then back to my face.
It will. You're smart, and you're strong. And I consider myself lucky to be able to help you. lucky to know you.
There's been so much uncertainty, but of him I'm beyond certain, grounded and stronger. And know me you do. He laughs, biting his bottom lip. His support makes me feel unstoppable, as does everyone else's. No longer am I alone in this. I have a family. Everything is going to be okay. Strangely, I wake with a smile on my face. Despite meeting the thing that's been wreaking havoc on this town, despite the fact that it rendered me useless, I'm happy. It feels wrong, but I can't ignore the way that my chest aches when I think of Fen. When I think about kissing him. I laugh to myself. I feel so much lighter somehow. But I can't shake the feeling of that thing staring me down and sizing me up. I think of all the creatures I've encountered in my time as a hunter, and I almost feel like there's something I'm missing. Is it a hybrid? A new species? We were always taught that it's unrealistic to believe that we discovered every kind of creature that roams the earth. The realms that separate us from them can tear. Every day new horrors are brought upon us. But every single one of my instincts is screaming and telling me that this is different, that it's not going to be simple. With great effort, I drag myself from the relative comfort of my bed and stare out over a surprisingly sunny Lunaris. I take a seat at my desk and decide to take a moment to observe the stolen notes that Ezra had kindly handed over. The fire consumed everything. I can't read that word. Damaged beyond restoration. Magical fire couldn't reconstruct. And Neeson skeleton flower doesn't work. Perhaps a memory spell to recall the events of death. Runes don't suffice, no good. It's as if the body doesn't remember the soul's essence at all. A creature that treats on life force. Form ritual and crescent moon. Scrying is a fair shot. At this point, I'm exhausted in my actions. I've exhausted my actions to the corpse. And she deserves a burial by now. Used an extract from the flowers and a spell to ascertain she was well terrified for death, but nothing more. I can't even tell if it's death by burning or other injuries. I scanned them and it's jarring seeing as a truly talented witch be so completely and utterly perplexed. I can practically feel his frustration rolling off the page. Life fire consumed everything. Muscles damaged beyond restoration. Magical fire? Can't reconstruct. And Neeson skeleton flower. Doesn't work. Perhaps a memory spell to recall the events of death. A runestone should suffice. No good. It's as if the body doesn't remember the soul's essence at all. Creature that feeds on life force? For ritual and crescent moon. Scrying's a fair shot, but at this point I've exhausted my options with the corpse, and she deserves a burial by now. Used an extract from the flowers and a spell to ascertain she was well terrified by her death, but nothing more. Can't even tell if it's just by burning or other injuries. And finally the page torn where he's pressed so hard with his quill. I'm stumped. Complete lack of an intact body would have made his job hard, but a witch of Ezra's skill can cast many spells to determine the cause of death. Rolling counter was failed spell after failed spell. I set them aside. I have no time today to delve any deeper. Now it's time to write my report for last night. This should be interesting. I check the conveniently placed clock outside of August's office door and take a deep breath. As I raise my fist to knock, I hear a crash. I forgo knocking, pushing the door open to rush inside and check that everything is okay. Scan the room, seeing no August within. I see a pair of feet sticking out from behind the desk, then hear a string of muttered curses in a language I don't recognize. August? They pop up. Their hair is a mess and they have dark bags under their eyes. Raven, is it 9 already? I nod, clocking that their clothes are wrinkled, which is odd. Very odd. Wait, did you sleep here? They let a quick, sharp burst of laughter that seems suspiciously nervous.
Did I fall asleep in my office? Don't be preposterous.
They did. They totally fucking did. I stared them down unconvinced. August. They cover their mouth with their hand, coughing quietly.
Yep. Yes, I did.
I had a lot on my mind. I nodded understanding, itching to tell them about my encounter, but almost not wanting to burden them with yet another thing. There was a little incident last night in the woods. An incident, you say? Come, sit. I take a deep breath and follow them to their desk. I believe I encountered the creature. The creature, as in the creature? Yes. Their pale skin gets lighter somehow, and they take a deep, shuddering breath.
Are you okay? And how are you okay, if so? Some of our best hunters have perished by its hand.
Well, about that, I settle in the comfortable chair opposite them. My mind is reeling as I think about how the hell I'm going to explain this. Firstly, don't think I'm crazy, okay? Okay? They don't seem convinced, but I continue regardless. James has been communicating with me somehow. It's like I can hear him, feel him, as if he's right beside me. Their expression remains neutral, that perfectly arched brow raised high. I assume that their silence means that they wish for me to continue. It's happened a few times, the most recent being last night. I'm pretty sure he's the reason I'm sitting here now. He snapped me out of whatever thrall that thing had me under. I process what I've just said with an unreadable expression, and I wait with bated breath, unable to get a read on their aura. Are they going to laugh in my face, tell me I'm insane? I see. Well, I'm glad that he decided to help you, Raven. To think what might have happened to you had he not, I'd rather not imagine. I pause, my mouth agape. I'm perplexed. Not even a flinch? You seem rather calm. I expected... They raised their hand.
A lot of things that happen in our world are out of the ordinary, and we can't possibly explain every unusual occurrence. Ghosts are certainly not the strangest thing we deal with. There have been many recorded cases of people claiming they've been contacted by the dead.
If Hunter Lane has somehow managed to communicate with you, then so be it. We can question it and attempt to understand it if you wish, but I consider that statement, deciding that yet another thing to add to the list would be a hindrance to us all. That won't be necessary. You felt fine during all of this? Nothing ails you when you experience this connection? I grimace and August notices.
You do well to tell me, Hunter.
I've been getting headaches, pretty intense ones. There's a lingering ache in my temple almost constantly, and it flares up whenever he's near. They press their finger to their lips, looking at me thoughtfully. Then they rise from their chair, walking to stand over me, wiggling their fingers in my direction. May I? If you don't mind. I nod, trusting them to do what they have to do. Just close your eyes, it won't hurt. I oblige to feel a distinct crackle in the air, the smell of ozone thick in my nostrils. The hairs on the back of my neck and arms stand, and I dare peek at my enforcer. Their eyes are closed too, their hands hovering carefully above my head and glowing a vibrant aquamarine. Closed. With a quiet grumble, I heed their instruction. A moment later, I hear them huff. You're fine, no damage detected. I open my eyes, watching them sit against the desk. Thank you, August. I should imagine it's rather unnerving having that happen, though. I do suppose he's at least polite. Oh, well, minus the headaches, he's not too bad. He was a fine hunter and a valued friend of many, including myself. He's missed terribly, even more of a reason for us to bring this thing to the ground. I suddenly ponder the implications if the enforcers are involved with this too. To think what that would do to Harry if the very agency he runs ended up being responsible for his husband's death. A loud knock interrupts my train of thought, and August throws me a look. They suddenly seem uncharacteristically nervous. I tilt my head in question. It's time I made amends. Come in. The atmosphere immediately grows tense, both of them making a point to look at me and nod at each other. Have I been tricked into mediating? Yes, apparently that's exactly what this is.
I hear you have something to say to me.
I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding, thinking the stars that Piper is choosing to break the ice somewhat civilly. August clears her throat, rubbing their forefinger and thumb together. Seeing them unnerved is alarming.
Yes, well, I wanted to apologize, formally.
And for the first time.
Yes, Piper, for the first time. If I could go back and change how I reacted, I would do it in a heartbeat. You didn't deserve any of this. And I'm sorry.
She looks angry, but also a little defeated. I imagine this isn't easy for her. It wouldn't be for me if I were in her shoes.
You really hurt me, August. It will take time for us to get back to where we were.
But Raven told me that you really do wish to make amends, and that you were on our side in all of this. So, I accept your apology.
Take however long that you need. Whatever I can do to make it easier, I shall. to prove to you that I mean it.
Piper quirks a single brow, a smile creeping onto her lips. Well, I
am not arm wrestling you ever again. I'd rather you drove a dagger through my heart, frankly.
That's a bit drastic. Anyhow, shall we discuss this plan of yours, Hunter Adams? The plan. General, you and Ezra will see to the wards while Piper and I meet Finn in the catacombs. He'll escort us through the hidden entrance to the dungeons and be our lookout. There, Piper and I will enter and gather as much intel as we can, for as long as you're able to stave off the protections. We'll then leave via the exit in the forest, where we'll meet Finn again, making a hasty exit before anyone catches wind. In theory. Yes, in theory. August purses their lips, taking the provided information. I see, and you're satisfied with this? That it's achievable without any of us getting caught? Piper and I share a glance. And she nods. I am, yes. Regardless, I think it's necessary. We cannot proceed with our investigation without seeing what they're keeping down there. Or what they're not keeping down there. This could change the whole investigation, August. Very well. I trust both of you. I guess the next thing for us to do is visit the witch, then. Piper tilts her head at them, her eyes wide, and August sighs deeply. Sorry, Ezra. Well done, you're getting there. Just try it without the attitude next time, yeah? I'll wait for you at the entrance to the Casimir end of the catacombs come nightfall. Be careful, Merriman. I know you're capable, but be on your guard. Piper offers him a small smile, and it seems genuine for the very first time.
Always am, General.
Alright, I think we're going to leave things here for now. If you're enjoying the video, if you're enjoying the series, please subscribe. Please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Maybe leave a comment if you're feeling generous. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.